What's up, everybody? ArrgThePirate here, and today we're gonna play Bugman Cab. Now, I really like this guy. He's by far my favorite ADC. I've played every single one of them at least once so far, and this guy blows everybody out of the water. I really enjoy his kit, but it's a little bit different than the others. Now, my starting build is Purification Beads, Hunter's Blessing, Healing Potion, Mana Potion, and just regular boots. So, I've got a little bit of movement speed, but the big thing about Cab is he doesn't have a real escape like the other ADCs. He puts down hives. Now, hives act like wards, so think of him kind of like Wraith, where, you know, you just spam wards everywhere because they're very cheap and they give you that, you know, vision on the map. But while standing in the AoE of his hive, you also get movement speed, a little bit of healing, and you get a little bit of attack speed as well. So they're absolutely huge buffs, and they give you, you know, great sustain, they give you a leg up on damage, everything like that. And guys, like I said, really enjoy this guy. Now, just like in Paragon, you want to try to get as much farm as possible. Getting those last hits can really help you out, but also just staying close to minions when they're dying can be a huge benefit, and I highly recommend definitely doing that. Now, we're going against this Genghis Khan guy and an ADC. Don't know anybody's names, guys, but the guy that looks like Genghis Khan. We're going against him, and he's got a heal or something. Oh, man, he's so tough to take down in this early stage, and all the poke that I do, he just heals it right back up. But that's quite all right. You know, Loki is here. Now, Loki is an assassin, so he's definitely not a real support. But, you know, he is hanging out with me, and hopefully we can get some progress in this lane. Now, remember, guys, just like in Paragon, especially since they switched to the 2v2 lane, the farming time is very slow. The beginning of the match is just a lot of back and forth, you know, poke when you can, concentrate on killing minions, things like that. You know, it's really just kind of a farm game, and you definitely want to try your best not to die. As the ADC, you know, your job is to do tons and tons of damage late game, and to get there, you need to be fed. So really, just try not to die, try to stay in lane as long as possible, get those last hits if you can, and really just poke whenever whenever it's available. Now you can see this guy. Yeah, he heals it right back up, man. Oh, it feels bad. We almost got him there. Well, we got him pretty low, and you can see he's back to half health. Now, one thing about the Cab, he's got that honey that he sprays on the ground. It does apply a slow, which is very nice. So you can slow enemies down, hit them with that big B-ball, and then you also have your ultimate. Now, his ultimate is awesome, guys. He throws out this giant stinger, and it does pretty good damage. But the big thing about it is, if you hit an enemy, they get stung for a while, and then the stinger falls off, and if you pick that up, the cooldown on your ultimate's only like 15 seconds. It's so quick. Oh, I can't talk enough about this guy. I really enjoy his kit. Now, I'm going to go ahead and speed this up. You know, it is just kind of back and forth, and, you know, yeah, it's kind of the same old thing. Just stay as safe as possible. I go ahead and back to base, finish off my boots, and then I'm going to head back to lane, but you know, my lane's pushed up pretty good. We had that allied hero in lane, you know, he kind of shoved that lane, so I don't want to be that far up. You know, guys, getting ganked is huge in Smite. You know, because the kill times are so quick, it is very easy to get ganked, so you want to watch out for that. And you can see, enemy push that lane back. I'm going to go ahead and get this lane pushing, and then I'm going to rotate, since we did just have a death in mid lane, and hopefully we'll be able to, you know, actually take this guy out. Now, you can see this is what I'm talking about, guys. When you're pushed up in these early stages, it's very easy to go down. We go ahead and get that ultimate off, and you saw that stinger drop. I picked it up, and look at the cooldown on my ultimate. It's so quick. Oh, that's so awesome. But we cannot stay in mid lane too long. We are going to have to rotate back to our lane and, you know, deal with that wave. I'm going to go ahead and get that lane pushing in the right direction, though. I probably should have left that, though. Now, looking back, you know, I should have left that for Zeus. Once he got back in the lane, he could farm safely, things like that. But, you know, just not thinking, guys. That was a poor choice on my part. You know, you definitely don't want to necessarily steal someone's farm, but you really don't want to push that lane, especially if they're coming back from a death, because, you know, you're taking away their farm. And you see Zeus is pushed very unsafe now, and if I would have just left that, it'd have been easy peasy for him. Now, I like putting my hives kind of in the entrances to the jungle, and you can see I've just thrown them down everywhere, guys. That's really what you want to do. You want to throw those hives down just absolutely everywhere. And, you know, that as soon as they get off a cooldown, throw one down. You know, I am still getting used to it, so it's going to take me a little bit. I missed my ultimate, but we end up wrapping up that kill. So, no problem. We ended up getting it. It'd have been nice to hit her with that ultimate. That way, it's on a very short cooldown. But, is what it is, guys. No problem at all. Me and Loki just, we tore her to pieces. And you can see the kill times are very, very quick. Now, putting those wards down, or those hives down, in this lane is very important, because there's a lot more entrances than in Paragon. You know, that there are 3 entrances, so it's not, you know, it's not a huge difference, but you can see the time for enemies to actually catch up to you is very quick, and, you know, we're going to end up going down here, and, you know, we just got caught out. So it really is, you know, it's important to get those hives out as much as you can, and you don't want to be caught out. And you saw, I was pushed up to that tower. That rotation is so much quicker in Paragon. You have less time to react, and the kill times are much, much faster. So if you're used to those Paragon, you know, you can kind of push up, get out of position a little bit. If you're used to that, it's going to take a little bit to get used to not getting caught out. From here, we're actually going to head down towards our lane, but we see there is a pretty good engagement in mid lane. So, you know, we're going to need to rotate over there. Now, one thing about Smite, guys, is rotations are so much more important. In Paragon, rotations were absolutely huge, but, you know, you could get away with not having collapses. Since the game speed is so much slower in Smite, you can rotate. You saw, we just hit our lane once and rotate. You know, you don't have to stay in lane for a very, very long time, and having a big rotation is just absolutely huge. You can see we had that big rotation. We were able to take down that enemy man on a horse, and then we're actually going to shove this lane into tower, and we are going to get this T1 in mid. You know, and you can look back at my lane. My lane's just now getting to my tower. So being able to rotate and just having that idea of, hey, let's rotate. You know, it's time to rotate. We push that lane up safe. That's absolutely huge. And it takes a lot more of an effort on your team's part to take down towers. In the maybe 75 games I've played so far, there are very few times where I take a tower down solo. Now, me and Loki actually come to this duo lane, or the long lane, and we're actually able to just absolutely destroy this tower. You know, awesome. You know, we got 2 towers very, very quickly. It feels great. And, you know, hey, we've got quite a bit of vision on the enemy team. You can see there's 2 of them taking down our T1, you know, and then there's the 3 in mid. So we've got plenty of time to actually go in on this tower. And, hey, we might actually end up getting a T2 out of this as well. You can see my team's rotating over to us. You know, they are chasing an enemy, but that's quite all right. Let them chase that enemy. You know, that enemy's going to be forced to back. This is going to allow our lane to push into tower, and we end up getting a T2, guys. You know, a T1 and a T2 completely uncontested is absolutely huge. You know, that great play all around. Now, from here, you know, guys, I'm very healthy, so I'm going to go ahead and take down this Void buff, and, you know, I then back to base. There's not a whole lot to do right now. You know, we can get into engagements, but, you know, we need to just be a little more cautious. I'm actually going to head into the enemy jungle, and I'm going to drop their damage buff. Now, you cannot pick up 2 buffs at the same time. You can pick up the same buff, and it refreshes the timer. But now that since I have Void buff, I cannot pick up that damage buff, but I can drop it. And what that does is it doesn't allow the enemies to pick it up, since, you know, I was the one that got the final hit. And, you know, that's huge. We took that damage buff out of the enemy hands, and, you know, hey, that's great. Now you can see that was a great place where you could actually see that stinger drop. I ended up going in on that Thor, and we were out of position for sure. You know, the entire enemy team was right behind us. So, you know, we ended up dipping out through the jungle. And again, we're placing that hive to get that movement speed. There's a pretty decent team collapse right here. So, you know, we hopefully can make something happen. Oh, the 80s, he's so low. And we end up getting him. Oh, feels good. But, you know, all three of us here, and, you know, Genghis Khan, he didn't stand a chance. We end up taking him out as well. And, hey, you know, great plays all around. We should be able to push a T2, but you can see my team is not heading over. Now is a great time to go for towers, guys, because we've got 3 enemies down, and they're on a fairly long cooldown, or, you know, a fairly long timer. Now's a great time to take these objectives out. And you can see I did end up tanking a handful of hits, but that's quite alright. You know, I wanted to make sure we got that T2. I'm going to keep my hives up, keep throwing them down, and, you know, for whatever reason, the enemy team's not really destroying them, which is fine by me. But we're going to go ahead and back. You know, we are fairly weak. And, guys, that's another thing about the ADC. Half health is very low. I have noticed that, because even tanks can hit you for half health. Just boom, you're dead. So it's definitely pretty important to be aware of that. Now, I leave base without a relic. I do that all the time, guys. I forget to put the second one on. And, you know, I don't even use these things. I have not wrapped my head around using them. And most of the time, whenever I do try to smash them to use them, they're on, you know, I'm stunned or something like that. So I can't even use them. Oh, it feels bad. But it's what it is. Definitely put on the relics and try to get into the habit of using them. I really wish I was better at it, but I'm absolutely terrible. Now from here, we're kind of looking for a pick. One thing that's much different in Smite than in Paragon, like I said, guys, it's tough to take down towers by yourself. So, you know, getting picks is much more important. It's much more of, you know, get into that big fight and then go push the objective. Like we did there. We took out 3 enemies. Hey, it's time to go push an objective. This is either picking up the flame giant, fire giant, or just going and getting a tower. You can see we're getting a good split push going. My entire team is pushing that solo lane, and I'm going to keep the pressure up here in mid. Hopefully, we'll be able to actually get an objective here, and, you know, that's huge. Keeping those pressures up to take objectives. If the enemy team, you know, their heroes are now spawning in, I'm going to back out and help with that solo lane tower. But, you know, if the enemy team would have not had that pressure in mid, they could have rotated and kept us from taking out this solo lane. You know, taking out towers, that's the name of the game, guys. Now, here's a great example of just absolutely terrible positioning. we're in this engagement, you know, it's 3 people and we stack up like that. Oh man, feels just bad. That was just very sloppy. We end up getting a kill, but we end up dying for it. You know, trading deaths at this point is just not really worth it. You know, it was an ADC for an ADC, but still, trading deaths is never worth it. And we both teams have 2 people down, and now we have 3 people down, and we're a little bit more staggered than they are. You know, that's just never a good option. Now, once I do spawn back in, we're actually going to head to the solo lane. You know, the solo lane definitely needs some help. They're pushing it pretty good right now, so we want to show up and take those waves out. Their caster is here in the solo lane. I'm not sure of his name. He's got 2 heads. Not sure of his name, but you know, hey guys, we're an ADC and we're decently fed, so we're gonna hit pretty hard. We missed our ultimate. Oh, if we would have hit that ultimate, we might have made a change, but nah. And then he ends up dashing out of our honey, so you know we didn't get those slows on him. It's quite alright, but you can see, guys, I am using the minion wave. I'm positioning myself where I'm going to hit both him and the minion wave. I see a lot of people, and I do it too as well. I see a lot of people where they'll stand directly behind the minion wave. Guys, that makes you a very easy target. Stand to the sides of the minion wave so you can avoid getting that poke damage and that, you know, big line of damage on your minions. If you stand away, the enemy is going to have to choose, hey, do I want to use this ability on the minions, or do I want to use this ability on the hero? They can't, do both unless they position themselves, in that correct manner. So, guys, don't stand directly behind the minions. Don't follow the minion parade, because you will take a lot of damage that's just kind of unnecessary. Now, I finally looked up how, or, just studied it for a second on how to ping something. I'm terrible at pinging. Y'all remember from Paragon. I'm just absolutely awful at it. But we end up getting a collapse at that Gold Fury, and we were able to take it out. Now, we are going for a little bit of a gank on this ADC. I thought my team would rotate with me, but that's quite all right, guys. We hurt, and you can see we hit her with that ultimate. Oh, look at that crit damage, guys. We are able to take her out and, boom, pick up that little stinger, or the big stinger, rather, and we're about to get our ultimate back already. Guys, I love this guy. He is absolutely awesome. My favorite ADC out of all the ones I've played, which, like I said, I've played them all. There's a couple that I'm like, and then there's some that I'm just absolutely terrible with. But this guy, he just clicks with me. And, guys, if you want to get into ADC, try him out. His name's A something, K something Cab, or something like that. You'll see him. He's the bug man. Now, from here, my team is actually able to collapse on that Fire Giant, which, remember, guys, the Fire Giant is like Prime in a little bit different, but pretty much the same thing as Prime. So, he does have an advanced version, or an evolved version. I forget exactly what they say. And at 25 minutes, that guy spawns in, and you get a little bit more of a buff with him. But, hey, picking the Fire Giant up as soon as you can, or whenever you have a good opportunity to, is always worth it. Now, I took a ton of damage. And guys, one thing about the minions, they don't lose aggro like Fang or Prime. The first person to hit it gets aggro, and they don't lose aggro until they leave the area of the little damaging area. So if you attack first, make sure to back out and then go back in. You saw I took a ton of damage there, and I would have been able to avoid all of that if I would have just let the tank hit it first. But is what it is. If you are getting damage, and this is the same for the minion camps, so like Void Camp or the Damage Camp, if you're the first person to hit it, all three of those minions hit you. If you're the ADC, it's always better to let someone else hit them, unless, you have full confidence that you can tank it no problem. Now, we do kind of get into a little engagement with, I think her name's like Nye or Nee or something like that. We end up taking her out. Guys, pick up our stinger again. We're about to have our ultimate back. I'm telling you, y'all need to play this guy. He's absolutely awesome. And by the way, I did just get the Kraken skin for him. I wanted to play a match with him with the Kraken skin, but I thought this was a pretty good match because this is one of the first games that I've played with him, and we did pretty well. From here, I'm going to head down mid lane. You can see we've got a pretty big team collapse in mid. I was planning on backing off, but they acted like they were going to push it. So, hey, let's push it. There's 3 of them down. It's a great time to push. They are about to spawn back in, but we might be able to make something happen. Now, our tank ended up diving that Hades, and oh, man. The tanks do damage in this game, guys. They definitely do work. And Genghis Khan shows up and stuns all of us. Oh, feels bad, man. But you can see we're chipping away on him. And, guys, ADCs feel so good in Smite. In Paragon, the ADCs, they were kind of hit or miss with me. I either really liked them or just didn't care for them. But in Smite, I gotta say, they feel awesome. Now, our tank has not got aggro from the tower yet, and I'm waiting for him to get those hits so I can not take damage. Doesn't quite happen. We take way too much damage, and we end up going down there. Oh, feels bad. They had some great rotation. We stayed there just entirely too long, and since I was having to constantly dip out of that tower and then come back in, I wasn't able to do a whole lot of damage there, but it's no problem. We were a little bit too aggressive there. And Loki was able to show up and help out a little bit. is what it is, guys. You know, you don't want to be that aggressive in Smite. You know, especially we knew that they were spawning in. You know, we should have got out. That was just a bad call on our part. Now, I've seen a ton of people make the mistake that's about to happen, and this is one of the things that I wanted to show off with this match, is right now we're about to have 3 people down, and they have 5 people up, and so it's just me and the tank. You know, we could do something, but there's a huge presence in mid, and our tank ends up going in. Now, I've seen this happen time, and you saw I was trying to get retreat out, and feels bad. I go in, I just get out of position, get pulled in by that Hades whirlwind. Oh, feels bad. I go ahead and tell the guy, hey, dude, you gotta quit going in like that. You know, there's been several opportunities that we've really missed out on because there are absolute, you know, like we're going and engaging in fights that we shouldn't. And you saw that one right there. That was absolutely terrible. Now, before you yell at me, guys, I didn't mean to put it in caps. I mean, I do caps all the time because I am terrible at hitting buttons. So, I wasn't yelling at the guy, but, you know, it's, dude, hey, we gotta quit going in. I ended up taking the caps off, but, you know, it's a little bit too late. And, you know, hey, when I play, you know, I'm... It's all a learning experience, guys. I don't really yell at people. Like, you know, some people are not as skilled as others, things like that. Don't take it the wrong way if you're playing with me and I type in caps. It's just me forgetting to cut caps off because I'm terrible. Now we end up getting into an engagement there, and hey, we got 3 of them down. You know, that's great. We should be able to push an objective here, and my team is chasing that kill. You know, I wanted to leave that. They end up wrapping that kill up, which is absolutely amazing. And, you know, hey, we should be able to get this mid-Phoenix down, and we just got to wait for this minion wave to get in there, and boom, we got it. Now, for the next few minutes, we kind of just do the run-around game. There isn't just a whole lot going on. You know, I'm a big believer in once you take an objective, get out unless you can make progress further. And there was no way we were going to down the core, the guardian, whatever it's called. There's no way we're going to do that. So it's best just to get out and head elsewhere. And you can see our Phoenix was taking some damage. So I head over here. We're able to take that out, get that lane set in the right direction. And then, you know, I'm actually going to head back to that lane to continue that push because I didn't really set it. Now, guys, I don't know how important setting lanes is, if it's as important as it was in Paragon. You know, at these lower levels, you know, it's all about pushing and rotating. So I'm hoping that at the higher levels, there's a lot more minion control and minion strategies. But as of right now, I just haven't seen a whole lot. Now we do end up going into an engagement here in mid, and we are able to hit that guy with our little stinger, and hey, we do a big chunk of damage. We're just trying to get close enough to take him out. Oh, we finally get that last shot. Oh, it feels good, man. That guy's a beast. I need to play him. He's a warrior. Haven't really... I've played a handful of warriors, and I'm just not a huge fan of them, but that guy destroys me. Now, their caster, I don't know if he stays in place when he does that ability, but oh, that was a bad choice on his part. We're actually able to take him out. And then from here, we get some of these fire minions into this core, and hey, guys, the core is so much easier to take out in Smite than it is in Paragon. You can see we're doing work. The enemies are here fighting us, and hey, I just ignore the enemies. Let's get that core down, and sure enough, we wrap this match up. Now, since I've played every ADC at least once, I'm planning on coming out with a guide, and I need to learn a little bit more about deck building, things like that, but expect that in the next few days, guys. Well, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this Cab guide. He's an absolute blast to play, and I highly recommend checking him out. Well, if you did enjoy, show me some love, leave me a comment, think about subscribing, add me on Smite, guys. Here's my name right here. I'm just going to leave it on the end screen. And as always, I'll see y'all in the next video.